merging faith and business and how those relate to each other, how we can process those things and work through those things on an everyday basis. And so the topic I have, and I have a direction that I'm going with this in relation to how this specifically relates, and I will articulate that as we go. But as I mentioned earlier, I have here what I've learned as an advisor, why things go wrong and why things go right. So I'll just open it up there with you, and then I'll give you my thoughts on the subject. So you can tackle both of them, one of them. Again, the idea is, you've been around a while. Mm-hmm. What, I maybe have 2 years more than you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've seen a lot. We've been in a lot of situations because we go way back to, growth days, our old practice, and a lot of growth, a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen it all. So do you have any take on that, on what you've learned as an advisor, why things go wrong and why things go right?
Transparency and truth, I think, is the biggest thing that flips it, really.
What do you mean by that?
So transparency will probably lend itself to the communication aspect of the relationship. The truth is holding yourself accountable and being truthful in what, seeing both sides of it, whether not playing victim or not, not showboating, so to speak, but taking each situation and being honest about it. So things go well. I think it's important to be truthful and transparent there. Why? As a up-and-coming staff, if I was new to the business as an advisor, whether I was in tax, audit, or just consulting, if I lied to myself and said, man, I really kicked butt, I either put in all this time when I didn't, or I really figured it out when I relied on a lot of resources, my peers and stuff like that, well, then I'm going to trick myself into, down the line losing that battle, right? Thinking that, there's not much work or something like that. The transparency, also being humble, right? Okay, I had a team that helped me.
I like that one.
The client, is just a good client, as in good relationship. There was never, constant communication, constant information, transitioning there. I think I'm throwing a lot of just stuff out there, but just being honest to yourself, knowing how that project went, why it was successful, why it was a failure, and knowing that there isn't always going to be a simple answer to everything, right? Why did something go wrong? Yes, the simple answer could be someone didn't step up, someone dropped the ball.
Humility and honesty. Humility is a good one. And I can tell you, I haven't always been a humble person. And I can tell you, but the older I get, the more, there's no reason to not be humble. Humility comes from thinking that you are somehow the source of your success. And so I've had this argument with people, because sometimes people will be like, well, you should be proud of yourself, because you did this and that. And they're talking about things that are accomplished, or the way that I'm built, or you're an outlier in this realm and that, from that perspective. But the reality is, I didn't have any say on my genes or my personality or my, on the way I was wired, on my hardware. I didn't get to go through, go to the register and fill out, okay, I want to be openness, I want to be intellectual, and I want to be strategic, and I want to be assertive, so I can get, I didn't do that. So, no one does that. So there's no reason to be puffed up. If you're really gifted and talented, great, be humble about it, because you didn't choose that. It's not something that came from you. What comes from you is like using that for, God's glory, for his kingdom. But other than that, because you can't waste skills, you can't waste it. As I say this, I'm thinking about Scotty. Scotty just won the Masters.
Scheffler, yeah.
Man, so when I heard that guy talk, there was just something different about him. And even the people that were talking about him on the announcers, they were like, he's just been the same guy, constant. He hasn't changed. He's won 4 of his last 6 tournaments.
He's on a heater right now. Yeah.
Right. That's crazy. And he doesn't get puffed up. He's even killed. And I didn't know about his faith at first, but I knew there was something special about him. I didn't know what. I was like, man, this guy, there's something, listening to him, watching him, he has something about him. And sure enough, watch his interviews, and just the most humble person, just giving all the glory to God. Hey, God's given me skills, like what we're talking about. He's gifted me with traits, and so therefore I'm humble. Therefore, it's my job to do the very best that I can with what I have, about being a good steward. And I think that if you have that mindset, then you're going to be a more effective person, because, hey, I have these gifts, I have these traits. I didn't give them to myself.